Alright, how about now? So, can you hear me? Alright, I hope it's clear, the sound. So moving on. That's about euro dollar. So pretty much the idea is let's wait and see if this is going to be an actual breakout, because right now what we can see is false convergence. Usually after the false convergences the price tends to shoot up. So this is one point for the bullish side, but on the lower time frames I still don't see the expected move up. As we can see, this is of course inside the range, but the momentum is building. So in my opinion, this kind of scenario is more likely to happen rather than this kind of scenario, even though I have both of them on the chart just to keep me focused what might be happening. But consolidation in this zone and then push down, forming here the divergence. After this happens, breakouts, false breaks, and I will be looking for the buys. Again, looking for a sell here is not really a smart idea, at least not on the higher time frames. The sells might be coming. Now, interesting why we don't have volume here. The volume is only above, but this is, at least for me, this is a price action level, so volume or no volume, I'm still going to use it. And if the price manages to create something which suggests continuation lower from this point, and the price is indeed holding that zone, intraday short-term scalps could be an opportunity. But again, keep in mind this is probably going to be the last wave down, talking about mid short term, which means you need to get at least 1-to-1 out of this wave down. That means not the 1 hour chart, but most likely this is going to be the 15-minute chart. That is going to be the place where we should be looking for the sell opportunities. All right, whereas platinum next on the list. Platinum was interesting. I was following for this scenario to complete. We finally got the push down. Why was I expecting this to push down? Well, this is an entire zone of levels. We got this beautiful spike right here. You can probably see it over here. So I'm personally expecting for platinum to continue higher. We have first divergence, second divergence forming, and the least I would expect to see is this kind of situation. So this is kind of double wave. That means on the 4-hour chart I need to look at bullish patterns, and what do you know, we have a bullish convergence here. We're currently in a pullback, which means as long as this low right here is holding, pullbacks should be bought. In terms of levels, it's a bit tricky, and now this is the only part I actually don't like about platinum, because look at this entire zone. Okay, this is the strongest level right here. That's why I have this one and that one, by the way. So having this massive level here means that if we are going to be buying, we're buying right below a massive resistance, and this is usually something I really don't like. One very simple solution to this problem could be, if the price pushes lower, we start measuring these two waves right here, and we see that 61.8 is approximately here. Now let's go ahead and find a level. Nothing from this point of view. One here, one here. So this is more or less the bottom of the volumes, then the level goes all the way down, which is something I don't really like, but let's say we can have spikes here. So this is the bottom. This fits perfectly with the 61.8. That means if the price goes and does something like that, forming divergences here, attacking aggressively could be a really nice opportunity. Okay, because then if you take a look at the bigger picture, because then from here up to this point we already have protecting of course this low, we already have a decent risk reward ratio. Okay, left alone the measurement that we're going to do, of course we need to adjust here the Fibos and do something like that to go ahead and find the 100%, which is right here. So attacking from that zone, right, versus this level, you can see we're getting probably 1 to 4 or so. All right, removing this Fibo. So this is kind of the plan that I have in Platinum. This is H4, let's say midterm opportunity, but still looks decent, and it could be a nice opportunity. All right, increasing the price a bit. Aussie dollar. Let's see what do we have in Aussie dollar, starting from the weekly. Now, first of all, I know that this is just the first video, and because of the sound issues, I'm probably not going to even post it, but the initial idea here, at least the way I saw it happening, is that we're going to see something like that. This is weekly chart, so I'm talking about months before that. The discussions and the analysis that we had in the other co-op were about this, and now when I'm looking at it, I'm starting to doubt that this is the case. Okay, I'm starting to believe that maybe we still have room lower, because it doesn't look very logical, let's say, but the facts are speaking. This is a double wave. This double wave comes inside a bearish trend. You saw monthly chart just now. We have reached the previous swing and we never touched it. Okay, we're simply bouncing off of this zone. So look what's happening on weekly. We have double wave, we have breakout. This breakout provided, here is the breakout, pullback, and then continuation lower. Okay, right here. This is the zone. And that zone was clearly broken. So the question is, what's happening next? And the answer is, it's tricky. Okay, because technically speaking, this has and bears all the reasons and signs of double wave, breakout, continuation lower. That's about the price action and breakout idea and methods. Now let's look at it from a different perspective. Divergences. What are the divergences saying? The most recent divergence is this hidden divergence. Okay. Now if we take a look from this point, there is no divergence, but this is also swing low. So for me that makes sense to be accepted and at least implemented into the trading analysis. If this is hidden divergence, look what's happening on the lower time frames. We have bullish convergence. I don't like this convergence too much, but after all, we got the close above it. Okay, so from one point we have a breakout which is suggesting continuation lower. On the other hand, we have hidden divergence confirmed on the lower time frame with convergence, pullbacks, and buys. So this is where the mixture and the science are simply showing different opinions here, right? So when this happens, I usually try to stay away because it's not clear, it's not aligned. I like to have all the time frames aligned, and this is what makes the setups as conservative as they could be. So I'm probably going to follow up here for a potential range. These kind of situations are usually when the price starts to range, because you have mixture and you have people selling and buying, and the price is simply not establishing a given trend. At least on these two time frames, I don't see the trend clearly. Okay, so if this is going to be indeed a range, that means we're probably looking at buy opportunity right here. And again, this is short term, right? We're not talking about holding it for months or anything, but 4 hour, 1 hour, maybe even the 30-minute chart could be involved here for some short kind of setup, get out very quickly and make some money out of it. 4 hour chart divergence is already in place, so if we get one more false break, excuse me, going lower, I think that's a good sign, and I will be there waiting for it. Now Aussie yen, on the other hand, looks a bit better, because when we take a look at the weekly chart, we can see clearly that there is no divergence right here. Okay, there is no divergence. We have a pullback, we have a beautiful hidden divergence, which this time is not reaching approximately the 90% as we have in this case. So if this is the low and this is the high, we're closing around the 90%. You see, this kind of deep moves are not good when it comes to hidden divergence, at least according to my experience. So when we're talking about Aussie yen, look what's happening here. This time the hidden divergence is going closer to the 61. All right, this is Fibonacci retracement. So hidden, no ending divergence. Then on the daily chart we have the same structure. Convergence is happening, again not ideal convergence, but the interesting part here is that on the lower time frame, this time we have another confirmation, which is this. On the MAs I think we don't have it, yeah, which is another convergence, right? It pushed up, looks impulsive, pullbacks, and we're likely going to see at least a double wave, right? And if we can get at least two time frames showing the same idea, the same direction, and the price action fits and the trading methods that I'm using fit, usually this is a good sign. Now furthermore, what we can say is that we don't yet have any divergence right here, which means this is likely going to deliver another push to the upside. Now the problem, just like platinum here, is the level, right? And that's why I have this line drop here. You can see where the strongest level at the moment is located, right here. So if you go ahead and buy in, I don't know, breakout of trend line, or the price dips a bit and you buy, you might be in not so good position because of this immediate resistance ahead of you. So if you want to be a bit more aggressive, you can try buying below this zone, okay? And for me personally, this is going to be the invalidation zone. You can also trail the stop loss based on this trend line, right? This is also a cool way to trail it and start moving and collecting, not collecting, but protecting. So this is one way, the more aggressive way. The more conservative way, which of course has always a trade-off because your risk-reward ratio is not going to be as good, is to wait for this zone to be broken and only then look for pullbacks and buys. Now, if you do that, the second scenario, which is going to be much more conservative, but then the risk-reward ratio and the projection to the upside will be shrinking dramatically. That means you will be forced more or less to go ahead and trade this as a short-term intraday opportunity. So if this is the 4 hour chart, that means right here you should be looking at intraday opportunities to go ahead and find yourself a setup that delivers the desired risk-reward ratio versus these levels. Okay, so this is basically what we have about, was that Aussie yen. Looks good, Then we have Aussie Kiwi, and Aussie Kiwi is also kind of tricky. Now I have dropped some analysis here in my document, but basically this is what I was looking for. Today I've started from the very higher time frames, weekly, monthly, just to make sure we're looking at the bigger picture, and usually I'm doing that once a month. I think it's more than enough because things are happening pretty slow here, but look where we stand. Okay, this is the monthly chart, and this is kind of a range shrinking pattern or so. Last time we touched the top, and this one is a bit tricky. I've been talking to some guys in private chat, and some of them asked about Aussie Kiwi. Now for me personally, this is not an ideal condition. Monthly, weekly, the higher time frames are not really telling me what's happening in the bigger picture, because we looked at this breakout, at least the way I'm trading breakouts, that was a breakout, which for me was supposed to provide pullbacks and continuation up. This did not happen. Instead, we're breaking below this swing low, and we're doing that. So the question now is, are we looking at false breaks? Are we looking at a larger correction which is going to provide a continuation up? All this on the higher time frames starts to be really tricky, and the indicators are not really helpful in that case. So the higher time frames for me, not much. Okay, they don't give me much, they don't tell me much. But on the lower time frames, the situation starts to be a bit more interesting, because daily chart is showing this bullish divergence after multiple false breaks here, and of course Aussie Kiwi is, it kind of has its own behavior. So I'm trying to stick to the higher time frames. This is what I'm trying to say. Now on the lower time frames, we have the reversals, and we have a push which, if we drop the levels, we can see the first zone, the inner zone, was broken already, and we're next to the second zone. So the question now is, if this is going to continue up, and now we're talking strictly mid to short term, right? Because higher time frames are not yet there. The question is, are we going to get consolidation with continuation up, or are we going to get a bit more of pullback here, going lower? And I put this box because this is the optimal level according to the analysis before. This is the zone, and even without these indicators, you can see that there's the consolidation. So usually this is the place where we can see most of the orders being filled. So basically, to make it simple as possible, two scenarios: consolidation for continuation up, and I will be looking for intraday buys around this level if provided. Now if you don't know how to look for, how to trade these intraday consolidations, please go ahead and check out the Traders Terminal website. This is the place where I will be sharing all the information from now on and my analysis. And again, alternatively, I will be looking for something like this coming to that zone. This is the optimal level, and then of course the risk reward will be much better, which means I'm going to automatically drop the risk, the lot, the volume, right? Because if I have fantastic risk reward ratio, I don't need to be risking more in terms of money and lot sizes. Sorry, not money, lot sizes. What's the idea? If this is the protection, right, you can be making that much, so you can be doing the same amount of money if you risk, let's say, 10 bucks rather than doing it here. Anyway, I'm going into subjects which I shouldn't be covering here. So let's continue. Euro-yen. Euro-yen is definitely trading inside the range, and I actually love ranges. I don't like them. I love them because I make most of my money there. But the question is how we can trade this one. So if this is the range and the current ongoing momentum is bearish, my preferred direction is the sells. Unfortunately, the last time we touched the top, is already in the history. So now we should be looking, at least in my opinion, for sell opportunities. And if we go ahead and check out the levels, we can see that this is the zone approximately where we have most of the levels based on the chart up to here. Okay, this is big zone, but this is pretty much the level in focus. So if we go ahead and get this pullback, which I really doubt it will happen, that could be an interesting sell opportunity. If not, in my opinion, this is probably going to be consolidation, and we have pretty much same situation like in Aussie Kiwi. So if this turns out to be a consolidation, I will be looking for this next push to the downside, intraday opportunity. And again, I do think this is how it's going to happen, but the ideal scenario here would be to see the price here, simply because it's better to sell at higher prices, right, and buying at lower prices. If you want to sell something, you want the price to be as high as possible. If you want to buy something, you want the price to be as low as possible. So absolutely the same idea applies here. Now this is a bit more advanced trading here, I would say, because you're trading without a massive level next to you. So if you're not really sure how to do that, probably better to skip it. But Euro-yen on the higher time frames, the analysis are absolutely spot on, so that could be nice. Pound Aussie is definitely something I'm looking to sell. Weekly breakout. Now the price is breaking above this consolidation zone, but look where we stand. We stand right here at the retest, and the idea is to see continuation lower. Whether the price is going to create this and then continuation lower, I don't care, but based on this, I do expect it to push lower. Now this is again becoming a bit trickier, because if we get that, we're going to be looking at impulse here. Okay, so the higher time frames maybe not ideal. We have two scenarios, but it's good that we're at this specific point in time, because now whatever, regardless of what's going to happen, I know that this is supposed to be happening. So I need to see this double wave. What will happen after this double wave? I have no clue. Are we going to do this? Are we going to do this? No clue again. But I want to position myself in a place where I'm very well, not certain, but I have a realistic expectation of what the market should be doing inside this specific wave or leg or time frame, if you will. I don't know what would be the correct word. So basically, I'm looking for sales, right? This is the level marked right here. We have a zone on daily which is right there, but on the lower time frames, that would be the one. So we have the false break, the divergence, the convergence, the pullback, continuation lower. I'm expecting to see the price pushing down. So if we get this pullback up to here, that's why we have the box. This is the optimal place to look for the sells. If not, it will be a bit tougher job to sell from that level right here, not from this one, but it is still doable. Just paying a bit more attention, because it might be tricky. Okay, let's cover one or two more. Dollar-yen is an aggressive one, but basically I'm looking for this to happen, and then for that to happen. I'm not going to spend too much time here because this is not an optimal setup yet. Probably going to cover it next week or during the week. And then we have cable, which in my opinion is kind of interesting. We had the double top, okay, and the price started, along with the divergence, the price started pushing lower, and we actually managed to break. So if we assume that, sorry, my drawing is awful, but basically if we assume that this is a range from here to here, the price attempted to break first, second, and now the third time we're actually looking at the breakout. So the idea is simple. I'm looking for pullbacks to sell. This is probably the simplest of all the things I've been talking about until now. Aggressive protection will be above this right here. Conservative protection will be above this one. Why? Very simple, because this is where the levels are, and many times we're going to see the price. So let's say this is the zone, right? That's the thickest part, which means you have most orders right here, less orders here, and then it's decreasing. Right here we have slight increase. So usually what happens is the price goes next to these zones and breaks above them, all right? Spikes through them, if you wish. Once that happens, if I'm looking to sell, okay, I might be caught up in this situation for a stop loss, and then the price continues lower. And this is the moment actually where you need to figure out how you're going to be attacking. Because if you're attacking a simple level, then you need better protection. Then you need to be protecting a bit more conservative because of these things, because you're not around the PC. If you're going to be trading with a confirmation, looking for a setup, looking for a reversal here to happen, then you might be using the slightly more aggressive part and level, okay? Well, at least this is how I'm doing it. I'm not saying this is the only way or the correct way. I should put a patent on this thing. Anyway, that's about cable now. I think this is where I'm going to end it. Again, I'm not sure if this thing will be... Actually, before we move on, any questions from anyone? Anything that you would like to see, discuss, analyze? If anyone is typing in the meantime, again, I'm not sure if this video will be up, because I think first 20 minutes or so I didn't have audio, no sound. So again, I'm new to this thing, so we'll see how it goes. Also, I lost connection. That's interesting. Maybe because it's weekend. Let's see if we have... Yeah, here we have it, Bitcoin. Alright, maybe it was a temporary thing. Anyway, I guess no one is chatting, no questions, so I'm going to end it here. Thanks everyone who watched. I guess I'll see you next week. Have a good one.